All right, all right, all right. Welcome, you loyal listeners, to another episode of Agency Intelligence Podcast, where I give you that real agent inside that real agency, giving you the real agency intelligence. And now today, I'm just talking about me because I'm the real agent. But really, his roots come from that. One thing I swear to God, Reid, people still to this day do not have any clue that you were an agent. When I tell them that, they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, dude, that's where he cut from, man. And then I also found out you used to do pavement and pavement blocks and
Yep.
all kinds of stuff when we were in Chicago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a
Paint, you
contractor,
did a
man.
little
100%.
painting, I
Yep.
think, right? You were, nothing has changed. You're a contractor now, just
Hey,
happen to
man.
be the CEO
I'll just say one
contractor
thing.
for
America, dude.
Ivans, right? Come on. That's exactly right, America. Man, I'm telling you, I'm not. We should never have to be like, oh, I don't want to get on that soapbox right now, because you should always be happy to be freaking American, and
That's
there
right.
should never be a time that you shouldn't be.
Mhm.
Man, that's awesome, because man, it does allow so much people. And when you and I did the podcast in Chicago, we talked about the fact that I have that Cuban
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's
family
right.
that is going to come
Yeah.
that's going to come live with us, right? And that's one of the things I was there's this man, we just totally got off here. I want to talk about this cool thing. I found this speech the other day by Ronald Reagan. It's the last speech he gave before he left the White House. And he talked about, it was all about immigration. And he talked about something that I've never heard anybody say. He said the reason why the American spirit keeps going past from generation to generation is not because of Jason or because of Reid. It's because we live in it, right? We just don't realize sometimes the greatness we have. It's the immigrants who come here from other countries who help keep the thought in America alive, because people don't realize what it's like in the rest of the world versus it is here, right? And I really thought that was really, really, really crazy. And so I think a lot of that has to do with that. And to be honest with you, loyal listeners, I don't know why the hell I told that story, but it just came to my
Hey,
mind
man.
whenever I
Yeah.
was listening
I
to it.
mean, no. I mean,
So
it's
just
just
a thought, Reid.
opportunity, dude. And like you said, us surrounding with all of these people that are out there that are hungry. Not like physically per se, but you know what I mean in
Right.
that way. And yeah, man, I'm totally into it. I'm totally with you. My fiance is first generation immigrant. She's Peruvian from Peru. So I mean, dude, I see it. I live it every day. You know.
You're damn right. Right. And it's nothing against those who are citizens and lived here. I mean, we're still patriotic and all that. That's nothing against it. It's just they are coming from a different experience coming into this experience, and it's pretty wild. Reid, so we're talking about we are opportunity. We're a mixture of a bunch of great things that make even one greater thing. And so far, the leadership of Taylor has been so far acquiring,
Yep.
keeping the big dogs, whoever were the leaders of that, keeping them
Yep.
at home, like
Yep.
you happened with Tech Canary, like we've
Yep.
like Rags had.
Yep.
We've got, there's a bunch of them, right? And now you've got this new one. Tell me about the new acquisition that just recently occurred, and what this
Yeah,
means to
so
the
it's awesome.
industry.
This is a big one, man. So we acquired Plank. Plank is an AI company, 100% focused on insurance. They've been around for quite some time. The founder of Plank is a guy named Alad Tassar. Alad was actually a founder of another AI company that got acquired by Salesforce. And then he went on to lead the effort of acquiring, I don't remember what it was, 10, 12 other AI companies, and then went on to lead what is now known as Einstein at Salesforce. After that, after doing
Wow.
that and successfully launching all of that, he went out and started Plank a number of years ago, focused 100% on the insurance industry. What they've primarily focused on is really kind of a lot of just data and AI around the underwriters and what the underwriters need. Think of things like properly classifying risks and things like this. So like, Jason, I've known you for a long time, but you might own a barber shop, right? And I'm your agent, and you don't tell me that barber shop serves booze, right? As an example, how am I going to know, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
a better example, more clear example is I'm a
Mm-hmm.
restaurant, but I don't necessarily tell you, or I even say that I don't have deep fryers. I don't do fried food. But hey, with the technology that's out there today, I can go and scan photos and whatnot on posts and things that are people that are doing around the premises or inside the premises to say, wait a second here. You got 9 Yelp reviews and 5 Google reviews and all this stuff saying that the fried chicken is amazing. Hey, you might want to double check and make sure that these guys aren't doing fried food, right? So some of this stuff is like, on the
Mm-hmm.
surface,
Right. Wow. So they use AI to integrate all that to bring that data
100%.
real time to the underwriter.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's hundreds of data points. I'm just, and they went real deep specific on industries, like I just said, like restaurants, right? Construction, things like that. And so it's really getting to know the business, and then you have to like look out for the things. I mean, AI is super smart, but you got to have the right prompts, right? So you got to have the experts that really know what to do and what to ask it. And so
that's right.
So that's what they've done. They've been very successful with that. They're in a bunch of carriers are using them. I've known Alod for a while. Little selfish plug. I don't mean to do it, but I have a podcast, insurance technology podcast. You guys want to hear it? I interviewed Alod like a couple of years ago or so. Just hear his story. It's badass, but I've known Alod for a lot of years, like you, Cass, and just such a great fit, dude. Great culture, great people, smart individuals. It's funny. Somebody said to me the other day, they're like, Applied just gobbles up all the good companies. And I'm like, is that a bad thing? We don't acquire them to kill them and kick everybody out. Like, look at me. I had no golden handcuffs. I'm still here, right?
Right.
Bags is still here. Like, I can go on and on and on with all the acquisitions. But it's bringing that culture, those really smart people inside of our organization. So like the product they have in market today is really cool, and there's a lot we can do with it, but it's really the opportunity of what we can do with the team long term, and by the way, so like as this all went down, we looked at it as a carrier investment and look at the carrier technology, but what we quickly realized is that carrier technology and agency technology, technically speaking, sit on the same data model, right? Square foot kind of thing, right? And so,
could be.
So Applied identified, hey, there's a really big opportunity on the agency side to bring out a product called the Marketing Workbench, which is, that's as much as I'm going to say because they're going to talk a lot about it at AppliedNet, but it's a better together opportunity. So there's some really cool stuff that's going to be coming out with it. So I'm super excited. Dude, this was a big one. This is a big one for me. I mean, I can't say enough about Alod. He's the real deal. If you listen to that podcast, you'll see what I'm saying. He goes through his whole life story, and the guy's like Doogie Howser, dude. He's genius, so super excited. Yeah.
Wow. And that's so cool because it does in certain areas, it doesn't. And how great of a model is it for the insurance companies tell us they want us to be frontline underwriters, right? That's what they're like. You be a frontline underwriter, but yet they're using technology that we could be using, which we could in the future, right? That it would allow us to be actually doing that. So by the time it gets to the underwriter, that's already been done. Obviously, that's what's being seen.
I mean, there's so much fraud. Think about fraud detection. Like that to me, fraud is one like more and more on my radar. Just like I learned not that long ago that how much that really hurts our industry. And it's like, what kind of technology can we put in front of the end user, the agencies, the CSRs to even help with that? Like, hey, like this human may not be a good person or a good risk, and this could be fraudulent, like, stuff like that. There's a lot you can do with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I do like that. There is a lot. I would love to take Alod and have him open up for this situation in Epic or in ERA and Easy Links and say, take this customer journey and help us create a customer journey, no matter what management system it is, from the very beginning to the end, right? Like you're saying, when I'm talking to somebody and I'm prospecting them, what other businesses do they have, right? And who other people do they know that can help me strengthen it? Kind of like how I use LinkedIn to prospect. Well, think about if they're not in LinkedIn and it's out there. But then also through the customer journey as they're going, what kind of employee, what kind of person they are, the people they hang around with, the different types of coverages they have, the different type of claims they have, when they're roughly going to be having a baby, all those different things. And I think a lot of these things, to be honest with you, Reid, have been talked about and through some of the other conversations conversations that we've had with other agents for the last 8 years that have been tried to be replicated using
Oh yeah,
Einstein,
yeah. I remember these
right? A lot
conversations.
of them were
Yep,
trying to
totally.
use
Yep.
Einstein. Yeah. And so now you guys have went and found that person, brought him in with all his experts. That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm anxious to see what you guys will
It's
do with that.
really, really cool. We're doing cool stuff as is, and we got a lot going on, but this
All
is
right.
just, it's I don't want to say it's the future. It's not like the future, but it's icing on the cake, man, is what it is, So
So speaking of the future, what's Ivan's doing? I mean, I was at your Ivans Connect last year, which did a fantastic presentation. You're so good at presentations because you can be real and talk like an agent, but you also talk like you race cars, right? So and there's a bunch of like really important people in there, and you're not being rude, but you're just telling it like agents need to hear it, right? And we all respect that of you, Reid. You just can't understand how much we do of that. But you talked about the fact that you had 400 carriers and now you've got like 800 or 700 carriers hooked up now and all this stuff that you guys have done. I think one of the things that's way underutilized is your guys' book rolls, right? I think that there's book rolls that are going to be happening. But I want to say this so you don't have to set all this up, but loyal listeners, they finally created what's known as an enterprise system, something that allows them to scale and do a lot of the things that us agents have been saying, Ivans, why am I having to do this? Why aren't you automatically doing this since it's data coming from the carrier? Now, we can, depending on what agency you are, you're going to have a list of those things that you want. But Reid has said last year, like, Cass, we finally have built the system to where we can start doing this. And kind of expand off of that, Reid. I mean, what is now and what is the future of Ivans? I know you get excited about it.
For those that don't know the story, going back a few years now, Taylor Rhodes made a decision to really double down on Ivans. It started because Taylor has just gotten after this vision of the digital round trip of insurance and really in order to deliver on that digital round trip of insurance, when you really dig into it technically, like Ivans and the connectivity to the carriers is so critical. So Taylor, the board, whatever, decided to make a big investment in Ivans. They were really smart, really dumb, depending on who you ask, to make myself the CEO. And then we brought in a whole new leadership team. And so not only that, they did take a risk on that. No joke. I still hear it.
Oh, I bet you they did, but they won out, right?
The first thing we did though is look. I mean, I would like Cass, like you said, I was an agency owner. I built an agency management system. I know about Ivans through and through, and I secretly fantasized about becoming CEO of Ivans one day to help solve some of the problems that we face in the industry and have always faced in the industry. A lot of people that know me, this is really my story. I don't have to do this, guys. I'm doing this because I love doing it, and I love what we're doing right now, for real, 100%. And so what do we do? So first thing is we built the entire platform. So you guys know, if you go back a few years, Ivans wasn't that stable. It wasn't something that we could really depend on. So what did we do? We modernized it. We moved everything up to the cloud, actual real enterprise technology, all new infrastructure, all new architecture, the whole nine. And so now what it allowed us to do is it allowed us to fix a lot of the problems. It allowed to deliver things like instant download and deliver on some of the stuff that people have been asking for many, many years, like death by 1,000 paper cut type stuff that was happening within Ivans. But now more so, it allows us to do things that people weren't thinking about before. Like Cass, you brought up book rolls. Book roll is a great example. Book rolls in our industry historically, they have like about a 50% hit rate. That means 50% of the book rolls that are started out there in the industry aren't actually completed. Okay. Now, it's because it's so labor intensive. There's so much data. It's so much back and forth. It's the carrier going into your system and logging into AMS or Epic or whatever it is, Hawksoft, and getting that information. It's just the back and forth and all of it. So we said, hey, what if a carrier could raise their hand and say, hey, agency, hey, Cass, I'd love to do a book roll with you. And you go, yeah, I'd like for you to do that. And they say, hey, I'm going to send over this request via Ivans. With that request is going to be the policies that we'd like to look at. You get a link from Ivans, you log into your Ivans account, you see all of those individual policies, and then you go, okay, hey, maybe you don't want to include the ones from Travelers. Maybe you don't want to include your cousin's policy, whatever it may be, right? You get to pick and choose which ones you want or don't want in that, and then you go submit. All of that data then goes over to the carrier in a neat little box with a bow on top, if you will, which then is hooked up into their system. Wow. So they can, one, instantly rate it, first and foremost, but two, really gain some insights around that book. What does this book really look like? And by the way, if you think about what I just talked about with Plank and things like that, and going, wait a second, here's this block of restaurants, we think 9% of them are actually misclassified. It's important information, right? But whatever, this is all stuff that they're going to do, right? But but they have to do it through these manual process of getting all this data and all this stuff out of these agent system and all this back and forth. I have sat, I'm going to name names of carriers. Many carriers are using your book roll product now. I have sat with carriers and they said, like, literally people thanking me in the room of like, I don't have to do long nights and weekends anymore because of this tool. They're like, I was the one that's closing down the shop at night because I'm on the phone with agents trying to get these last data points or whatever it may be. And so it just streamlines all of it.
I think you look at it as like a business, Reid. I think that's one of the things I don't know if you give yourself enough credit for, is that you're looking at it like that contractor you were, like that agency owner you were, like that AMS builder you were. And you look at it to say, like, let's be honest, like, how does Ivans make money? One of its factors is making sure that data runs smoothly. The more data runs, the more. So you're looking at it and saying, how do we get it to where you're not staying late hours and putting it on an Excel, and I can get that baby 100%. To run through the pipeline? You know, it's about the way you're looking at it, as opposed to, I think, some way other people would look at it differently than that. And I applaud you for that. And that's why it was a win to have you as the CEO.
Flow, you know, and so I truly believe that if you remove what I call transactional friction, okay? Transactional friction. So what is transactional friction? I'll give you an example. You have a kind of a risk you haven't dealt with before. Barbershop that has a bar too, right? Whatever, making shit up. I always use that one. I got that from Chip Rossioka. He always said barbershop like years ago. And like, it just sticks with me. It's like, I think he still uses the barbershop. I don't know. So whatever. Anyway. And he's from Milwaukee. So he says in Milwaukee, I'm from Milwaukee. Anyway, so if you guys always hear me, that's why I say it. But okay, so let's say you have a complicated risk. What are you going to do? And so we've done surveys. We know this stuff. These are actually facts. Most people out there in the industry go to their partner in the agency. Hey, man, who's going to take this, right? Who would take this? Dude? Hey, Jason, you've dealt with some of this stuff. Who's going to take it, right? Then you're going to give your opinion, or, hey, I wrote this, or I did that, or whatever. You're either going to do that, or you're going to go and you're going to go call the carrier, right? So you're going to call the underwriter, and the underwriter's busy. They got a lot of shit going on all the time. And you're like, hey, will you take this risk, right? And they're like, no, dumbass, that's in our underwriting guideline that you should have read that we sent out from our marketing rep and blah, 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 right? Exactly. So it's just like that's just stuff we deal with on a daily basis as agents. So I call that transactional friction. What if there's a system out there that has digital appetite in real time? So when you log into your system and you type in barbershop that has booze, guess what? It says here, well, who's in appetite and who's not, period. And it is stated from the carrier. And then, by the way, that same data, when the carrier enters in their appetite in real time, as it's changing, it changes a lot regionally. Think about personal lines, all this stuff. Appetite's always changing. As it's updating in real time, the systems, the glass that the end user is using is telling them who's going to take what and who's going to do what, right? It's done. And then also, too, not to mention, it also is going to update the PDFs that are out there in the ether of the industry, right? So it's just, if I can.
Are you guys creating this, Reid, or how far do you see this type of thing being from in our industry to where we could create?
That's already there. I mean, that's what Ask Kodiak is. That's what's been happening for you. This stuff's already happening.
Oh. Okay, because I was getting ready to say that. Like, I didn't want to say it because I loved your example, but in our agency, one of those things is we go to the market. I call it the market. What is it? The marketplace, because that's what it originally was, and now it's Ask Kodiak that runs that stuff.
But
Yeah.
it's not totally embedded in the flow yet, but that's what Access Kodiak is. But check this out. Like going back to this transactional friction thing,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it better for me, the agent, the CSR, the whoever, to not have to spend time on all of that noise, but really spend time where it matters most, and that's through connecting with other human beings and developing a relationship with other people. Like think
Mm-hmm.
about that. Instead of calling the underwriter and asking them what in
Mm-hmm.
their mind sometimes dumb questions, right? You're bringing them really great risks that are all teed up with a little bow on top, and you're like, "Hey Jeff, hey Mary, how's life? What's going on? How you been?" Right? Those people and developing those
Mm-hmm.
relationships, they're going to help you
Mm-hmm.
out when you need help, right? And I think that goes for everything. So this is just one stupid example of all of this, but removing some of that stuff out and that friction out of our industry helps us have the better conversations that we need to have. My best meetings that I have,
Mm-hmm.
I go and sit at carriers all the time, sit in their offices, and the best meetings that we have are when everybody has their guard down. We're all friends, we know each other, and we're just riffing and ideating, and we're discussing, and maybe there is conflict, and maybe we're dealing with something that is tough, right? But it's we have that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I think by removing some of this stuff out there in the industry helps us to promote those relationships with your customers, the insureds, if you will, around some of this stuff. So anyways, I know it's super,
Mm-hmm.
super long tangent. But
Well,
yeah, so that's the kind of stuff.
it's not. It's not. It's so great. So great, dude, to hear you as a CEO that can talk. Us agents, we can tell when a month. Sorry, we can tell when I almost dropped the MF word. We can tell when no, we can tell when somebody's BSing us. Sometimes as an agency owner, I can ask you one or two questions, and by the way you answer it, we can kind of know like, this guy. Because I mean, a lot of us are just good salespeople that just happen to be good salespeople and make a lot of money. But there's some of us that are truly trying to make the business better and more
For
efficient.
being fun, I like
And
to
I like
solve
that.
problems,
I
man.
love that
There's a
about
lot of
you.
problems to be solved, and so
There's a lot of problems to be solved. That's exactly right. Okay, so the other thing, let's
yeah,
wrap it up with Ivan's Connect. So I love it because Indie Tech is what Indie Tech is, but then Ivan's Tech, it's another tech.
yep,
It's a 1 day show, right? It's usually around your
yep,
guys'
yep. It's
applied
before
net.
apply.
Am I right about that? And tell us why did you create this? Why did you think that this was important for Ivan's
It's an
Connect?
event that's just for Ivan's, just for our customers, and it lets the industry know everything that we're deeply working on. Like literally, we get into our roadmap. We talk
Mm-hmm.
about all the things, the vision, everything that we're wrenching on, year in review, everything we've done. It's just, and then not to mention, it's just a good time. I think I said like last year, and I really believe this. It's like my family, man. Like everybody just gets together, and like you're there, like everybody's just there to have a good time. We have
Mm-hmm.
party after and whatnot, but it's not like death by 1,000 PowerPoint slides, and it's engaging, it's fun, it's real stuff.
It is.
There's no bullshit. Sorry, I know I'm not supposed to swear on your podcast, Cass. I know you don't. I can think of
No,
a better word.
you can, but just not MF words like I was getting ready to
But
drop.
no, it's no
Yeah, it was
fluff, but
terrible.
it's no razzle
Yeah.
dazzle. It's
But you,
it's the real deal, and so it's an opportunity. And then it's right before I've applied net. Applied net's in Nashville this year. I mean, I've been in this industry for quite a
mm-hmm.
while. Cass, you've probably been in more events than I have even. Like I've been to a lot of events. Dude, I'm not just saying this because I'm part of Applied, blah, blah, blah.
dude, dude,
Applied Net fucking crushes
dude,
it, dude.
dude,
It's so fun. It
dude,
really is.
dude. I've went the last 3 years, and I'm not an applied user, but it's absolutely. If you're an applied user, right? If you're Easy Links or you're Epic or can't think of the older
Yep.
one, Tams. If you're one of those, it's the event of all events because the way you guys have the tracks set up, like the education tracks, you can do whatever you want, accounting, service, whatever. It's really intense. But like there's also 3,500 people there, and probably 2,500 of them are actually in the
Yep.
agency doing real shit. So you learn a lot. But then on top, you're always getting something in the morning like Krzyzewski, or they're renting
Oh
out
yeah, we went out
downtown
all the cars.
Nashville for you to go and just go to. like four bars. You just go in and drink, and you get a thing all of a sudden that Jason Aldean's on the roof and he's playing 6 songs and everybody's running up there. I mean, dude, it is just
Yep. Oh, yeah,
went
we
to the
got
Grand Ole
HA
Opry.
coming this year.
Man, I'll
Grand
tell
Ole
you
Opry.
what, yeah, dude, I really think they do it right. I really do. I've said that for a long time. Some of the others need to step it up. But to be honest with you, I don't think they really have to reinvent the wheel. I think they just need to just look. They need to come up with tracks that are actually interesting and actually useful and stuff like that. And they've got to draw it. One of the things I'll say, and I'll say it again, like I told this to Taylor one time. It's almost like a cult. Like and that's a good thing. Okay, think of like an Apple cult. Okay, think of that. Like you're really all Apple users,
the Android
right?
guy.
Those who are just yeah, I'm the Android guy, right? So I mean, the very first one I went to, Reid, me and Mitch Gibson are sitting in the back, and
is he coming this year?
3,000
this year?
Oh, what?
I love Mitch.
Yeah. Me and Mitch are coming again this year. There's 3,000 plus people in this room, all sitting down. The stage is half a football field. I mean, it's so long. And Taylor's up there, and he announces applied payments. And I swear to you, dude, there was people jumping out of their chair, like fist pumping, like, yes. I mean, they're high-fiving, and Mitch and I are just looking at each other like, this is insane. Like, these people are hyped up. They want to leave and go back to work so they can run some premium financing. I'm telling you. And I mean, it was crazy. And that was one of Mitch and I's like first, like really were like, dude, this place is legit. And I have to say, Mitch and I go to a lot of them, but we're really cool. And then we get access to all the CEOs, the CFOs, the CROs, all of the Ivan's heads and everything, because they want us to, they do it right. They really, truly do it right. Taylor has a whole 2 hours that he spends with all of the people that they've invited, which are usually the media and stuff, and just answers any question. You can fire any question at him, and he doesn't divert it to, well, I'll have to talk to my staff. Like, he's going to give you an answer. And I respect him for that. I remember when he first hired you, Reid, and you and him, I think you guys were like in an airport or somewhere. I can't remember you telling me the story about you guys sitting down, and like, this was the first time you were really talking to him, like, hey, like, what is your vision? And he started spitting this vision. And I remember you called me and you said, Cass, like, his vision is to bring all of this stuff together of what we need to create this one thing that agents need. And I was kind of thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, so many CEOs say that, right? But he has done it. I mean, 5 years later, he has freaking done
100%.
it. And
yeah.
And plus, all the chicks go crazy every time he comes on stage. The chicks go nuts. I mean, if you're a guy in there, you're jealous of the guy. He's in a Marine. He gets all that shit.
I hate him. He sucks.
Anyways, yeah. I know, dude. So anyways, I love it. So Reid, thank you very much. I want to encourage, where can people go find out more? They can ivansapply.net, but obviously Ivan's Connect.
Ivans.com, man. Yeah, hit us up. Check out the podcast too. Insurance Technology Podcast. We just did one. Cass, we just did one. It's good. There's some good stuff on there. Check out the last one. It's pretty good.
We did. I flew to Chicago and literally spent 3 hours with him and got right back on the plane, because Reid means that much to me. It really does, man. I mean, there's not many people, dude, I'm flying to just do a podcast with. Okay, it's not going to happen. But I do appreciate it very much, man. You're very good for the industry. I was talking to somebody, and I won't mention name. He's kind of a big person in the industry, and he said, "What do you think about Reid Holzworth?" And this was about 6, 8, 9 months ago. And I was like, "Well, come on, dude. Like, obviously, that, like, me and Reid, good friends, da 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 da." And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just not really big on him, man. I don't really know if he can really do and take Ivans where we need to go." Well, then you did this podcast meeting, whatever you guys did, and the dude hit me up right after. And he's like, "I take back everything." He's like, he gets it more than any other person that I know in the agency side. I said, "Dude, I know. I don't just hang out with people just to hang out with them. I hang out with people that are really going to, like, have an interest in the industry." And so that, just that one little meeting that you had with him, and I think that you have that effect on people, and I think you know it, but sometimes you get in it and you just don't realize. We really appreciate what
Thank you,
you do
man.
in
I
the
appreciate
industry.
you.
Really do,
Cass,
brother.
you know,
Really do.
I don't say it enough, dude. You've done a lot for this industry too, man. You have. You really have. You continue to do so.
Yeah.
And so I always
Yeah.
enjoy our time together, man. We always have a good
It's too
time.
much fun.
No doubt. I
Yeah.
appreciate you and everything you're doing
It
for real.
was. It
For
was.
real.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I bet you we were laughing 80% of this. All right, Reid, man, I appreciate you much. I'm going to get this out. This will be going out probably next week because I want to get it out about the Ivans Connect and let everybody know. So in the meantime, man, for all you that don't know, you need to watch the YouTube version of this because you'll see that Reid is smoking a big old stogie. What kind of, is that anything special?
I mean, it
is that
is
anything
to me, but
special,
nobody
Reid?
would know. My good buddy Jorge gave me these cigars, so but they're like non brand
Okay.
cigars. So yeah, we
Right.
love cigars.
But this is the first of 800 plus podcasts where someone was
Really?
sitting on there smoking a cigar. So that's why when you asked, I'm like, oh, dude,
Really?
no one's ever done that. So this is fantastic that you did this. So yeah, I appreciate it.
By the way, people that know me, it's not intentional. I smoke lots of cigars. I didn't like, I'm going to get this cigar and show everybody I'm smoking a cigar and cast this podcast. It just literally happened.
Anybody that knows you knows that that's the way it happened. All right, buddy. Appreciate you. All right. I'll talk to you later, man. Bye-bye.
All right. See you, brother. All right. Bye.